Thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's a great opportunity to address you today, the presence of you all, Excellencies, and it's really fine as well to come just directly after the very able and competent chair of Global Compact, and I appreciate your work, your partnership, and the very practical way that you are running the business, and congratulations again for the excellent work you managed to do in New York. For the first time we have this engagement, but I bet with the success it won't be the last time. Thank you so much, my good sister Sanda, for that. And through you as well, and directly as well, I'll tell her, our good sister Amira Mohammed, of her great work and contribution for the good cause of development in the world, including Africa. Thank you so much. Right, I think President Adesina had more than enough of me today. He saw me a lot. So I'll be very brief, and as mentioned by our moderator, it's just very brief welcoming remarks. But I'd like to take an opportunity. I know that we are addressing business priorities, and we had a very good discussion today, a few times actually, on the pipeline of projects for investable, not just bankable projects for Africa that we worked hard in order to compile, starting with the good work that colleagues have finished before even we go to Addis at the beginning of the month of August. And then now we have a good compendium of projects from around the world, including Africa. And it's good that Bugulo, the director and the advisor for our work as champions for Africa, she's doing with her team an excellent job. I think she had the experience in the public sector, the private sector as well, to make the right mix of public-private partnerships, because she can speak the two languages comfortably. But we have some issues, and I'd like to benefit from the presence of President Adesina. And then I know that I may come back toward the end, so I'll not take much of your time now on that. Yes, we prepared the work for business engagement. We realized through figures and updates that the work of the business sector, including in Africa, is very much being realized in mitigation more than adaptation. And we see that many of the projects that we see around the African continent in solar, in wind, and more recently in green hydrogen, which has had a great opportunity here in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and I think is going to be the winning black horse for sustainable development and climate. But we have an issue, because when we talk about business, we talk about de-risking, more information and partnership. I know colleagues may have heard me saying that many times. I learned hard through the work in the World Bank and other international institutions. You assume that you have been heard and listened to because you said it once or twice. But we have an opportunity, because the African continent, as our colleagues and friends, the experts on Africa, including from the African Development Bank, would remind us that Africa is not low income anymore, as the majority of countries. It's middle income. But as the president of South Africa just reminded us 2 days, this is misleading. Middle income, when you have a great deal of discrepancy and standard deviation that is high around the averages, you need really to get engaged better beyond the per capita income and to consider vulnerability and other aspects of work. So we have a beautiful mechanism to support low-income countries that needs to always be enlarged, replenished, and supported, which is IDA, the International Development Association. And I know that IDA terms are extended through mechanisms, including ones available at the African Development Bank. But the idea that we are trying to promote, and I hope that President Adesina can help us with that, that to extend IDA terms to low-middle income countries. If you do that, that service will be extended not just to the low-income countries, but to the rest of Africa, with one or two exceptions that happen to be high-income countries. That would be useful, because IDA as well, with its flexibility, it has, so with a community of business leaders, why I'm talking about IDA? Because the service of the MDBs, like the African Development Bank, is very useful for support, for partnerships, for mitigation, for de-risking, for paving the way in some of the higher risk kind of opportunities. When you have this term, those terms of either extended to middle income countries, the same services will be available for the rest of the continent and the rest of the developing economies. I worked in this line of business for many years. I know how effective this platform can be, but it's not about either of the World Bank, but either terms in such difficult times, high inflation, high interest rates. We need to have a decent long-term partners like the MDBs, including their mechanism to include the private sector. I'm saying that because we have the first line of defense, which is mitigation. We need the private sector more in it. Adaptation, we need more private sector because it's only 3% in Africa. And now, I hope, Sharm el-Sheikh is going to be providing the biggest offer, which is basically on loss and damage, that require more private sector participation, especially institutional investors and insurance companies. So for that, I just wanted to share some words, I hope of substance, in addition, of course, to some good welcoming remarks that I started with. Thank you so much, and I'm here to listen to your statements and your advice. Thank you.